The holographic display flickered as Captain Maya Wren watched the Imperial battlecruiser materialize before her ship. Its sleek, obsidian hull absorbed starlight like a void against the cosmos. The Empire's flagship, the Dominion, was at least 20 times larger than her vessel, bristling with weapon arrays that could reduce planets to molten slag. "Well, they certainly didn't come to negotiate," Maya said, her voice steady despite the fear that tightened her chest. Lieutenant Cora stood beside her on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the tactical display. "They've brought enough firepower to glass our entire continent." Maya nodded. 6 months ago, humanity had its first contact with the Galactic Empire, a sprawling, technologically advanced civilization spanning dozens of star systems. Initial diplomatic overtures had seemed promising, but when the Empire discovered Earth's rich deposits of raridium and quantum ore, everything changed. Humanity was deemed too primitive to be equals, merely another species to be conquered and exploited. "Captain," her communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission, Empire-wide broadcast." "On screen," Maya ordered, straightening her uniform jacket. The holographic display shifted, revealing Admiral Valix Oren's face. Sharp, angular features framed cold gray eyes that seemed to look through rather than at them. His pale blue skin, characteristic of the Viridian species that dominated the Empire's upper echelons, was stretched tight across high cheekbones. "People of Earth," Admiral Valix began, his voice carrying the distinctive metallic resonance of the Empire's elite. "Your resistance to Imperial integration has been noted and judged unacceptable. You have demonstrated an inability to recognize superior authority and the benefits of proper galactic stewardship." Maya's hands clenched into fists at her sides. "Therefore, by decree of the Galactic Emperor, a state of war now exists between the Empire and Earth. You have 24 standard hours to surrender unconditionally or face immediate annihilation." The Admiral's thin lips curved into what might have been a smile. "Choose wisely. Your primitive defenses cannot hope to withstand our might." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in silence. "Well," Maya said after a moment, "I suppose that settles the question of their intentions." Lieutenant Cora's voice was tight. "Captain, we need to contact Earth Command immediately." "Already on it," Maya replied, tapping her neural interface. "And get me Dr. Eli Soren. If we're going to war, we'll need every advantage we can get." As her crew scrambled to battle stations, Maya stared at the Imperial Armada forming in high orbit. Humanity had only recently ventured beyond their solar system, their technology crude compared to the Empire's. They were outgunned, outmatched, and had exactly 24 hours to prepare for extinction. What the Empire didn't know was that humans had evolved on one of the harshest, most unpredictable planets in the galaxy. Earth's magnetic field fluctuations, violent weather patterns, and extreme environments had forged a species that specialized in surviving impossible odds. And Maya Wren had no intention of surrendering. Dr. Eli Soren hunched over his workstation in the dimly lit laboratory deep beneath New Geneva's defense complex. At 52, his dark hair was peppered with gray, and deep lines etched the corners of his eyes, evidence of decades spent squinting at microscopic phenomena. The lab hummed with the soft drone of quantum processes and biocontainment fields. "Dr. Soren," a voice called from the doorway. "Captain Wren has requested an emergency conference." Eli looked up, blinking away the fatigue. "Put her through to my private terminal." Maya's face appeared on the screen, her expression grim. "Eli, I assume you've heard the news." "Yes. The entire planet's in an uproar. The Defense Council's been in emergency session for hours. We need options. Eli, anything you've been working on, even theoretical applications. The Empire's fleet outguns us by orders of magnitude." Eli ran a hand through his hair. "I've been studying their weapons technology since first contact. Their systems rely heavily on quantum-locked plasma containment and neural network targeting, incredibly advanced. But what? Maya leaned closer to the screen. There's something odd about how their systems interact with Earth's magnetic field. Nothing conclusive yet. Just anomalous readings during their demonstration exercises last month. Work faster, Maya said. The fleet is mobilizing everything we have, but it won't be enough. Not against their technology. I'll need help, Eli said. Lieutenant Cora, her background in electromagnetic engineering might provide insights I'm missing. Maya nodded. I'll have her shuttled down immediately. And Eli, we're counting on you. The transmission ended, leaving Eli alone with the weight of an entire species' survival on his shoulders. He turned back to his workstation, pulling up the data from the Imperial weapons tests. Something was there, a pattern in the interference. He just needed to find it before humanity ran out of time. Lieutenant Cora arrived 6 hours later, stepping into Eli's lab with the confidence of someone who had spent her life solving impossible problems. At 34, she had already established herself as one of Earth's foremost experts in adaptive engineering. Though rumors circulated about her mysterious past before joining Earth's defense forces. Dr. Soren, she greeted him, setting down her equipment case. Captain Wren briefed me on the situation. Lieutenant. Eli nodded. I hope you brought your best ideas. We have less than 18 hours before the Empire expects our surrender. Cora smiled slightly. I never surrender, Doctor. And I've been studying the Empire's technology since they arrived. She opened her case, revealing a series of specialized instruments and a containment unit holding what appeared to be a small Imperial device. Is that, Eli began, eyes widening. A fragment of Imperial targeting array? Yes. Cora's expression remained neutral. Let's just say it fell off during one of their diplomatic visits. Eli decided not to ask further questions. What have you discovered? Their weapons technology is impressive, but exhibits unexpected vulnerabilities when exposed to certain electromagnetic frequencies. Specifically, those produced naturally by Earth's unstable magnetic field. Eli pulled up his own findings on the main display. I've observed similar anomalies, but the effect isn't consistent enough to be tactical. Not yet, Cora agreed. But I have a theory about why their systems react differently here than in other conquered systems. She plugged a data chip into Eli's terminal. Take a look at this. The screen filled with a complex molecular structure that Eli immediately recognized. Human hemoglobin. What does our blood have to do with Imperial weapons? Not just the hemoglobin. Cora pointed to microscopic structures attached to the blood cells. These nanoscale bioconductors. They're unique to humans who evolved on Earth. Eli leaned closer, fascination overriding his exhaustion. These shouldn't exist naturally. But they do, in us. Earth's harsh conditions. The radiation bursts from our sun. The planet's fluctuating electromagnetic field. They created the perfect evolutionary pressure. Humans developed these structures as a biological defense mechanism. And they interact with Imperial technology? Eli asked, mind racing with possibilities. They don't just interact, Cora said, pulling up another simulation. Under the right conditions, they can completely disrupt it. Admiral Valek Zorin stood on the command deck of the Dominion, hands clasped behind his back as he surveyed the tactical display. The human defenses were pathetic. A scattered collection of primitive spacecraft and orbital platforms that his fleet could obliterate within minutes. Status report, he commanded. His second in command, Commander Thex, approached with a data tablet. All systems optimal. Admiral, the fleet is in attack formation. Weapon systems are charged and targeting solutions plotted for their major defense installations and population centers. Excellent. Valek allowed himself a small smile. Any response to our ultimatum? None, Admiral. Their communications show they are mobilizing for defense rather than preparing terms of surrender. Valek snorted. Predictable. The primitive species always choose resistance before submission. It makes their eventual capitulation all the more satisfying. He had overseen the subjugation of 7 worlds during his career, each campaign adding to his prestige within the Empire. Earth would be his crowning achievement, a resource-rich planet with a large population suitable for labor. The humans' reputation for adaptability and resilience would make them valuable servants once properly broken. "Sir," Commander Thex interrupted his thoughts. "Our intelligence suggests they're attempting to evacuate key scientific and governmental personnel to underground facilities." "Let them hide." Valix waved a dismissive hand. "Our penetrating charges will reach them regardless. Prepare the fleet for the initial bombardment. We'll begin the moment their deadline expires." "Yes, Admiral." As Commander Thex moved away, Valix studied the blue-green planet on his display. Such a primitive world, yet strangely beautiful. He'd visited the surface briefly during the diplomatic phase and had been surprised by the planet's intense weather, its powerful magnetic fluctuations, and extreme biodiversity. The humans had adapted to conditions that would challenge even imperial environmental suits. No matter. Adaptability was merely a survival trait, not a match for superior technology and military discipline. The Empire had conquered species far more advanced than these humans. This would be nothing more than a routine operation. The countdown timer on his display showed 11 hours remaining in the ultimatum. Valix turned to his private chamber to prepare his victory address to the Emperor. Maya Wren stood in Earth Command's Situation Room, surrounded by the highest-ranking officers of humanity's combined defense forces. The atmosphere was tense, faces grim as they reviewed their limited options. "The civilian evacuations to the deep shelters are proceeding as quickly as possible," General Santos reported, her weathered face showing the strain of the past 18 hours. "But we can't possibly move enough people in time." "What about our orbital defenses?" asked Admiral Chen, the Chinese Space Fleet commander. "We've positioned everything we have," Maya replied, highlighting the tactical display. "But against Imperial technology, our weapons will barely scratch their shields." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Earth's combined military might was no match for even a fraction of the Empire's fleet. Maya's neural interface pinged with an incoming priority message. "Excuse me," she said, stepping away from the table. Dr. Eli Soren's face appeared in her mind's eye via the neural link. "Captain Wren, we've made a breakthrough." Maya felt her pulse quicken. "What kind of breakthrough?" "Lieutenant Cora and I have confirmed our theory. Human bioelectromagnetic fields can disrupt Imperial technology. The effect is strongest with their weapon systems." "How is that possible?" "Evolutionary adaptation," Eli explained rapidly. "Humans developed nanoscale bioconductors in our bloodstream as a response to Earth's harsh electromagnetic environment. These structures generate a field that interferes with the quantum-locked systems the Empire relies on." "Can we weaponize this?" "We already have a prototype amplifier." Cora's voice joined the conversation. "It enhances the natural human biofield exponentially. Initial tests show it completely disables Imperial targeting systems and power regulators." Hope, dangerous and fragile, bloomed in Maya's chest. "How quickly can you deploy this technology?" "That's the best part," Eli said. "It's not technology, it's biology. Every human already carries this capability. The amplifiers just strengthen what's already there." "Get to the command center immediately," Maya ordered. "Bring everything you have. We need to implement this before the deadline." She returned to the table of officers, a new determination in her step. "Ladies and gentlemen, we may have just found our edge." The deadline approached with the inexorable patience of cosmic time. Earth's meager fleet had taken defensive positions, a thin line of ships and platforms between humanity and extinction. Maya stood on her bridge, watching the Imperial Armada through the view screen. "Amplifier status?" she asked, glancing at Lieutenant Cora, who had returned to her ship after helping install the device in their engineering section. online and functioning at 98% efficiency. Captain, Cora reported, all ships in the fleet have successfully integrated their units. Communications from the Empire, her comm officer announced. Admiral Valex's face appeared on screen once more. Your time has expired. Humans, your silence is taken as rejection of our generous terms. His expression showed no emotion, merely the cold calculation of a predator. Prepare to witness the consequences of your defiance. The transmission cut abruptly. All hands. Battle stations. Maya ordered, her voice steady despite the fear churning in her stomach. Activate the amplifiers. Throughout Earth's fleet, the bioelectromagnetic amplifiers hummed to life, enhancing the natural field generated by each human crew member. The effect was invisible but present, a wave of disruption emanating outward toward the Imperial ships. On the tactical display, Maya watched as the Empire's fleet began to move. Dozens of massive battle cruisers and hundreds of smaller vessels advancing in perfect formation. Weapon ports glowing with charged energy. They're powering weapons, her tactical officer reported tensely. Maya took a deep breath. Hold positions. Stand by point defense systems only. The leading edge of the Imperial fleet entered optimal firing range. Maya braced herself, half expecting the amplifiers to fail and death to follow instantly. Instead, confusion erupted across the enemy formation. "Captain," her tactical officer exclaimed, "their weapons! They're failing to discharge!" On the display, Imperial ships were breaking formation, their coordinated approach dissolving into chaos. The glow of their weapon ports flickered and died. "It's working," Lieutenant Cora said, a rare smile crossing her face. "Their systems are completely disrupted." Maya allowed herself a moment of stunned relief before refocusing. "Maintain defensive posture. Let's see how they respond." On the Dominion's command deck, Admiral Valix Oren watched in disbelief as his fleet's systems malfunctioned across the board. "Explain this immediately," he demanded, rounding on his chief weapons officer. "Unknown, Admiral," the officer replied, fingers flying across his console. "Weapons charging systems are operational but failing to complete targeting sequences. The energy simply dissipates before discharge." "Impossible," Valix snarled. "Run full diagnostics. Reroute power to secondary systems." "Already attempted, sir. All weapon arrays show the same malfunction." Commander Thex approached cautiously. "Sir, it's not just weapons. Long-range sensors and communication systems are degrading as well. The effect seems centered around the human fleet." Valix narrowed his eyes, studying the primitive vessels that had somehow rendered his superior forces impotent. "Some kind of interference technology? Scan for energy signatures." "No active energy weapons detected," reported the sensor officer. "But there is something. An unusual electromagnetic field emanating from their ships." "Counter it," Valix ordered. "We're trying, sir, but our systems can't identify the field type, and it's like nothing in our database." Valix clenched his jaw, rage building at this unforeseen complication. The Empire had conquered countless worlds, faced species with technology far beyond these humans. How could their primitive vessels disable his fleet's primary systems? "Prepare boarding parties," he decided. "If we cannot destroy them from a distance, we will tear them apart with our bare hands." The first wave of Imperial boarding craft launched toward Earth's fleet, sleek shuttles carrying elite combat troops in powered armor. Without weapons, the Empire would resort to physical force, a humiliation, but a temporary one. Once Valix understood this interference, he would crush these humans and make an example of their world. Maya watched the approaching boarding craft with grim determination. "They've adapted quickly," she noted to her bridge crew. "Launch defensive drones and prepare repel boarders." Earth's ships released swarms of small defensive drones, simple machines designed to intercept and disable the approaching shuttles. Unlike the complex neural networks of Imperial technology, Earth's drones used rudimentary guidance systems that proved surprisingly resistant to interference. "Captain," Lieutenant Cora called out, "I've been analyzing the effect of our amplifiers on different Imperial systems. Their life support and basic propulsion appear minimally affected. It's primarily their offensive capabilities and advanced navigation that's disrupted." "That explains the boarding parties," Maya replied. "They're reverting to physical attack." "Captain Wren," the communications officer interrupted. "Message from Dr. Soren on Earth Command." Eli's face appeared on screen, excitement evident despite his exhaustion. "Captain, we've expanded the amplifier network planetside. Every major population center now has protection against Imperial weapons." "Good work, Doctor. We've forced them to switch tactics already. They're launching boarding parties against our fleet." Eli nodded. "Expected, their neural-enhanced combat armor will be partially affected by the disruption field, but their troops are still dangerous. We're working on increasing the amplitude to further degrade their systems." "Keep at it," Maya said. "We've bought ourselves time, but the Empire won't retreat because of one setback." As if to emphasize her point, the ship shuddered as an Imperial boarding craft attached to their hull. "Breach on Deck C," reported security. "Imperial troops boarding." "Security teams respond," Maya ordered. "Lieutenant Cora, you're with me. Let's greet our visitors personally." The corridors of Maya's ship echoed with the sounds of combat. Imperial troops in powered armor moved with mechanical precision, their movements hampered but not stopped by the interference field. They fought with physical weapons, shock batons and monomolecular blades that required no complex targeting systems. Maya crouched behind a bulkhead, pulse rifle raised as 3 Imperial soldiers advanced down the corridor. Beside her, Lieutenant Cora worked frantically on a small device. "Whatever you're doing, do it faster," Maya hissed as energy bolts from Imperial sidearms, simplified versions still partially functional, struck the bulkhead above them. "Almost there," Cora replied, making a final adjustment to the device. "This should amplify our biofield locally." The device emitted a soft pulse, and immediately the Imperial soldiers staggered, their armor's servo motors stuttering. One collapsed entirely as his suit locked up, while the others moved with visible difficulty, like men wading through thick mud. "Now," Maya called, and her security team emerged from cover, overwhelming the struggling Imperials. Similar scenes played out across Earth's fleet as the defenders exploited the weaknesses in Imperial technology. What should have been a swift conquest had become a grueling battle, with humans using their unexpected advantage to maximum effect. On the Dominion, Admiral Valix received increasingly concerning reports. His boarding parties were meeting fierce resistance, their advanced armor and weapons performing well below specifications. The interference effect was spreading, disrupting even secondary systems now. "We need to withdraw and regroup," Commander Thex suggested cautiously. "Analyze this phenomenon from a safe distance." "Retreat?" Valix snarled. "Before these primitives, the Emperor would have my head." "Sir, with respect, we cannot effectively combat what we don't understand. Our forces are taking significant casualties with minimal gains." Valix paced the command deck, fury warring with tactical necessity. The Empire had never retreated from a lesser species. It was unthinkable, yet his mighty fleet hung in space, its fearsome weapons rendered useless by some unknown human trick. "Prepare a strategic withdrawal," he finally ordered, the words bitter on his tongue. "But make it clear in all communications that this is a temporary measure to counter their defensive technology." As the Imperial fleet began pulling back, rearranging into a defensive formation at the edge of the solar system, Maya and Earth's leaders gathered to assess their unexpected reprieve. "They're not leaving," Maya stated flatly, studying the tactical display in Earth Command's situation room. "Just regrouping while they figure out what happened to their weapons." "Can they adapt to the disruption field?" General Santos asked, looking toward the Dr. Eli Soren. Eli shook his head. "Not quickly. The interference comes from a fundamental interaction between our biology and their technology. They'd need to completely redesign their systems. What about non-electronic weapons? Another officer asked. Kinetic bombardment, chemical agents? Those would still rely on guidance systems and delivery mechanisms vulnerable to interference, Lieutenant Cora explained. But they might try more primitive approaches. Maya frowned. Like what? Ramming, using their ships as physical weapons, sacrificing a few vessels to destroy key targets. A grim silence fell over the room as they contemplated this possibility. We need to take advantage of this pause, Maya said finally. Strengthen our defenses, expand the amplifier network, and prepare for their next move. There's something else, Eli added quietly. Something we discovered while studying the bioconductors in our blood. He exchanged a glance with Cora before continuing. They're not static. They're evolving, becoming more efficient in response to Imperial technology. What does that mean? Maya asked. It means humans aren't just accidentally disruptive to their technology. Cora explained. Our bodies are actively adapting to counter it more effectively. The longer we're exposed to Imperial systems, the stronger the interference becomes. The implications hung in the air. Humanity's evolutionary adaptation to Earth's harsh environment had inadvertently created the perfect defense against Imperial technology, and that defense was getting stronger. Admiral Valix Oren stood before the Emperor's holographic projection, fighting to maintain his composure as he explained the situation. The humans possess some biological characteristic that interferes with our weapon systems, he concluded. We are developing countermeasures, but require additional time. The Emperor, a towering figure of the same Viridian species as Valix, but with the blue-black skin tone that indicated extreme age, regarded him coldly. You promised a swift conquest, Admiral. Instead, you return with tales of primitive humans defeating our most advanced technology. The Emperor's voice resonated with disapproval. Perhaps I overestimated your capabilities. My Emperor, this is merely a temporary setback, Valix insisted. Once we understand the nature of this interference, we will crush them completely. See that you do. I have dispatched additional forces to your location, including specialized research vessels. You have 1 standard month to resolve this situation. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. Failure will not be tolerated, Admiral. The transmission ended, leaving Valix alone with his mounting anxiety. His career, his life, now depended on defeating these humans and their inexplicable ability to disable Imperial technology. Commander Thex, he called, striding onto the command deck. Assemble our best tactical minds. We need a strategy that does not rely on our advanced weapon systems. Yes, Admiral. What approach do you suggest? Valix studied the tactical display showing Earth's defenses. If we cannot use technology against them, we will use their own nature against them. Humans are emotional, divided among themselves. Find their weaknesses, their internal conflicts, and prepare our mech infantry for deployment. The mechs, sir, they're not fully tested for combat operations. They're mechanically powered with minimal electronic components, Valix explained. If human interference affects quantum-locked systems, these more primitive constructs might function adequately. As you command, Admiral. As his officers carried out his orders, Valix stared at the image of Earth rotating slowly on his display. These humans had humiliated him, but they would soon learn the Empire never accepted defeat. One way or another, he would bring this world to its knees. Weeks passed as both sides prepared for the next phase of conflict. Earth's defense forces expanded their network of bioelectromagnetic amplifiers, creating a protective shield that extended throughout the solar system. Imperial scout ships that ventured too close found their systems failing, forcing them to retreat or be captured. Dr. Eli Soren and Lieutenant Cora worked tirelessly, refining their understanding of human bioconductors and developing new applications for the discovery. Research centers around the world joined the effort, a global scientific collaboration unprecedented in human history. The latest tests confirm it, Eli announced to Maya during one of their daily briefings. The bioconductors are adapting more efficiently in people with repeated exposure to Imperial technology. Meaning what, exactly? Maya asked, rubbing her tired eyes. Meaning humans who interact regularly with their tech, like your fleet crews, are developing stronger interference fields naturally. Your body is essentially learning how to disable their systems more effectively. Maya considered this. Could we use this somehow? Concentrate people with the strongest fields for special operations? Already working on it, Cora said, pulling up schematics on the display. We're designing compact amplifiers that can be worn by individual operators. Combined with the naturally enhanced fields of experienced personnel, they could potentially disable Imperial tech at close range without affecting our own systems. Perfect for boarding actions. Maya nodded. Speaking of which, our intelligence suggests the Empire is preparing for another offensive. Different approach this time. They're adaptive, Eli acknowledged. They won't make the same mistake twice. Which is why we need to be ready for anything, Maya replied. The admiral commanding their fleet, Valex, he has a reputation for ruthlessness and unconventional tactics when pressed. We should expect psychological warfare, Cora suggested. Attempts to divide us, turn Earth's nations against each other. Already happening, Maya confirmed. They've been broadcasting propaganda, offering special terms to countries that break ranks and surrender individually. She smiled grimly. So far, global unity is holding. Nothing like an alien invasion to bring humanity together. Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent alert. Maya activated the tactical display, showing a new formation of Imperial ships advancing toward Earth. Here they come, she said quietly. And those aren't standard battle cruisers. The approaching vessels were smaller, more numerous, and oddly configured, lacking the prominent weapon arrays of typical Imperial ships. Instead, they appeared to be carriers of some kind. They're launching something, Eli observed as thousands of objects deployed from the Imperial vessels. Too small for shuttles. Mechs, Cora realized aloud. Mechanically powered combat units, minimal electronics, maximum physical damage potential. Maya's expression hardened. They're adapting. These won't be as vulnerable to our interference field. All the more reason to accelerate our own adaptations, Eli said. The specialized amplifiers for your boarding teams are ready for deployment, and I've been working on something else, a way to potentially turn their own technology against them. I'm listening, Maya said. Their neural networks, the AI systems that control their ships and weapons. They're quantum-based, which makes them vulnerable to our interference. With the right approach, we might not just disable them, but actually reverse engineer control. You're suggesting we could hijack Imperial ships? Maya asked incredulously. Theoretically, Eli cautioned. It would require getting amplifiers physically connected to their command systems. High risk, but high reward, Maya finished, a plan already forming in her mind. Lieutenant Cora, how quickly can we outfit special operations teams with your enhanced amplifiers? 24 hours for the first units, Cora replied. Do it, and contact Earth Command. We need to coordinate our response to these mechs. Maya turned back to the tactical display, studying the approaching Imperial force. If they want to get physical, we'll show them just how adaptable humans can be. The Imperial mechs descended toward Earth's atmosphere. 8-foot-tall constructs of specialized alloys with hydraulic limbs and minimal electronic components. Each carried basic weapons designed to function without complex targeting systems, pneumatic projectile launchers, monomolecular blades, and chemical dispersal units. Earth's defense forces met them with everything available: fighter craft, ground-based weapons, and hastily assembled combat teams equipped with the new personal amplifiers. The battles were chaotic and brutal, fought across multiple continents as the Empire attempted to establish beachheads for a larger invasion. In New Geneva, Dr. Eli Soren coordinated the scientific response from a reinforced bunker beneath the defense complex. Displays showed battles raging worldwide as he and his team worked to improve the amplifier technology. "The mechs are less vulnerable to the interference field," one of his assistants reported, "but not immune. Their minimal guidance systems still malfunction at close range. Focus the amplifiers on their command units," Eli directed. According to Lieutenant Cora's analysis, each mech squadron has a lead unit that coordinates their actions. Across the planet, human forces adapted to this strategy, using their enhanced interference capabilities to target Imperial command units. Without coordination, the mechs became less effective, their actions disjointed and predictable. Meanwhile, Maya Ren led a daring operation against the Imperial fleet. Her ship, along with 3 others equipped with the most powerful amplifiers, approached the Dominion under stealth conditions. The plan was audacious. Board the Imperial flagship, plant Eli's experimental control devices on their command systems, and turn their own technology against them. "Approach vector clear," her pilot reported as they slipped through a gap in the Imperial sensor network. A gap created by their own interference field disrupting the enemy's detection capabilities. "Boarding teams ready," Lieutenant Cora confirmed from beside her. The lieutenant had insisted on joining this mission, her expertise with Imperial technology making her invaluable. "Remember," Maya addressed her strike team, "we move fast, stay tight, and plant the devices as quickly as possible. The amplifiers will disrupt their systems locally, but they'll adapt quickly." Their ship docked with the Dominion, magnetic grapples attaching to the Imperial vessel's hull. Cutting torches sliced through the outer plating, creating an entry point that wouldn't trigger the ship's automated security. Maya led the first team through the breach, her enhanced amplifier creating a bubble of disruption that caused Imperial systems to flicker and fail as they advanced. They encountered resistance, Imperial troops with simplified weapons and mechanical devices, but the element of surprise gave them the advantage. "Engine control room ahead," Cora reported, consulting her scanner. "Main neural hub, 2 decks up." "Jensen, take your team to engines," Maya ordered. "Plant your devices according to the doctor's specifications. We'll hit the command hub." The teams separated, moving through the massive Imperial vessel like ghosts. Maya's group encountered heavier resistance as they approached the command deck, Imperial officers recognizing the threat despite their malfunctioning systems. "They're sealing the bulkheads," one of her team called out as massive doors began closing ahead of them. "Move," Maya ordered, diving through the narrowing gap. Cora and 2 others made it through before the doors slammed shut, separating them from the rest of the team. "We continue the mission," Maya decided, checking her weapon. "The others will find another route." They fought their way to the neural hub, the artificial brain that controlled the Dominion's major systems. Imperial guards fell before their enhanced weapons and the disruptive effect of their amplifiers. "Here," Cora said as they reached a massive chamber filled with crystalline structures pulsing with energy. "This is the primary neural network." "Plant the devices," Maya ordered, taking up a defensive position at the entrance. Cora worked quickly, attaching Eli's specialized transmitters to key nodes in the network. Each device was designed to interface with the Imperial AI, exploiting the vulnerability created by the bioelectromagnetic interference. "Intruders on the command deck," an Imperial voice announced over the ship-wide communication system. "All security forces respond." "Time to go," Maya called to Cora. "Are the devices active?" "Just finished," Cora confirmed, making a final adjustment. "Dr. Soren can activate them remotely once we're clear." They fought their way back through the ship, rejoining the rest of their team at the extraction point. As they disengaged from the Dominion, Maya contacted Earth Command. "Devices planted. We're clear of the flagship. Understood, Captain, came Dr. Eli Soren's voice. Initiating sequence now. Aboard the Dominion. Admiral Valix Oren watched in growing horror as his ship's systems began behaving erratically. Lights flickered, doors opened and closed randomly, and the neural network displayed impossible readings. "What is happening?" he demanded of his chief systems officer. "Unknown. Admiral, the neural network is experiencing... I don't know how to describe it. It's as if it's being rewritten from within." On the main display, a human face appeared. Dr. Eli Soren, looking tired but triumphant. "Admiral Valix," he greeted calmly, "I believe we need to discuss terms." "What have you done to my ship?" Valix snarled. "We've established a connection to your neural network using our bioelectromagnetic signature as a carrier wave," Eli explained. "Your AI systems are particularly vulnerable to our interference. Right now, we have partial control of the Dominion and 7 other vessels in your fleet." "Impossible," Valix breathed, though the evidence was undeniable as systems continued to activate and deactivate around him. "We're transmitting the same effect throughout your fleet," Eli continued. "I suggest you order your forces to stand down, or we may be forced to demonstrate more direct control." As if to emphasize his point, the Dominion's engines suddenly fired, moving the massive vessel out of formation. Valix gripped his command console, face contorted with rage and disbelief. "This is some trick, some temporary advantage that we will overcome." A new face appeared on the screen. Captain Maya Wren. "This is no trick, Admiral," she said firmly. "This is evolution. Humans evolved on a planet with one of the harshest electromagnetic environments in the galaxy. Our bodies developed natural defenses against radiation and field fluctuations, defenses that happen to disrupt your technology. And we're still adapting," Eli added. "Each interaction with your systems makes our interference more effective. This isn't a weapon we've built, it's who we are." Valix looked to his officers, seeing the same realization dawning on their faces. The Empire, with all its technological might, had encountered a species naturally immune to their most advanced systems. Worse, these humans were rapidly learning to turn Imperial technology against itself. "What are your terms?" he asked finally, the words ash in his mouth. "Immediate cessation of hostilities," Maya stated. "Withdrawal of all Imperial forces from the Sol system. Recognition of Earth's sovereignty and independence from Imperial control." "The Emperor will never agree," Valix said. "He would rather see your world burn to ash. Then explain to your Emperor that conventional conquest is impossible." Eli replied, "Any technology you bring against us will either fail or be turned against you. Any biological weapon would have to contend with the same evolutionary adaptability that produced our bioconductors in the first place." "And suggest to him," Maya added, "that there might be advantages to peaceful relations with a species so uniquely adapted." Valix stood silent, calculations running through his mind. His career was already in ruins. The choice now was between returning to the Emperor with an unprecedented defeat or with a potentially valuable discovery, humans as subjects of scientific study rather than conquest. "I will communicate your terms," he said finally. "But I make no promises regarding the Emperor's response. We'll maintain our control of your systems until we receive that response," Maya informed him. "Consider it insurance against any rash decisions." The transmission ended, leaving Valix to contemplate the greatest humiliation of his career, and perhaps the beginning of a fundamental shift in the Empire's understanding of power. In the days that followed, an uneasy truce settled over Earth and the Imperial fleet. Using their newfound control of key Imperial systems, humans maintained a watchful guard, while diplomatic channels opened for the first time as equals rather than conqueror and subject. Maya found herself in the unfamiliar role of diplomat, representing Earth's interests in discussions with Imperial representatives who alternated between hostility and fascination. "They're studying us like lab specimens," she commented to Dr. Eli Soren as they left one particularly tense meeting. "Can you blame them?" Eli replied. "We've upended their entire concept of technological superiority. To the Empire, advanced technology has always equaled power. Now they've encountered a species naturally resistant to that technology. Do you think they'll honor the peace agreement once the Emperor responds?" Eli considered this. "I think they're pragmatic enough to recognize an unwinnable scenario. Our ability to disable their weapons gives us defensive parity, at minimum. And the more we interact with their technology, the more effective our interference becomes." "Evolution in real time," Maya mused. "Precisely. What happened here might change the Empire's entire approach to expansion. Why fight a costly battle against a species that can disable your weapons when you could study them, learn from them, perhaps even collaborate?" Their conversation was interrupted by Lieutenant Cora approaching with a data tablet. "Captain, Doctor, the Empire's research vessel has requested permission to conduct non-invasive scans of volunteer humans. They're particularly interested in studying our bioconductors. Scientific curiosity already replacing military conquest?" Maya raised an eyebrow. That was fast. "Knowledge is valuable," Cora said with a slight smile. "Perhaps more valuable than the resources they originally came to extract." "Set up the protocols," Maya decided. "Voluntary participation only. Full transparency on all data collected, and our scientists present during all procedures." As Cora departed to implement these instructions, Maya turned back to Eli. "You realize this is just the beginning. Once word spreads throughout the galaxy that humans can disable Imperial technology, every enemy of the Empire will be seeking an alliance. And every Imperial scientist will be working to understand and counter our ability." Eli nodded. "This isn't over. It's evolving, just like we are." Maya looked out through the viewport at Earth below them, blue and fragile against the void. "When the Empire came, I thought they'd either conquer us or we'd die fighting. I never imagined a third option." "That's the thing about evolution," Eli said quietly. "It always finds unexpected paths forward." 3 days later, the Emperor's response arrived. The holographic projection of the ancient Viridian appeared before Earth's assembled leadership council, his expression unreadable. "People of Earth," he began, his metallic voice resonating through the chamber. "The Empire acknowledges your unique biological characteristics and the complications they present to standard Imperial integration protocols. A diplomatic way of admitting their weapons were useless," Maya thought. "Therefore, I have authorized Admiral Valix Orin to negotiate terms for a research exchange agreement rather than pursuing military conquest at this time. The Empire recognizes Earth's sovereign status and offers scientific cooperation regarding your unusual evolutionary adaptations." The Emperor's cold eyes seemed to look directly at Maya. "Be advised that this arrangement is subject to ongoing evaluation. Should your interference capabilities prove temporary or limited, our original intentions may be revisited." The transmission ended, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence before erupting into cautious celebration. It wasn't a permanent peace treaty, but it was a reprieve and recognition of humanity's unexpected strength. Later, Maya found Admiral Valix Orin waiting near her shuttle as she prepared to return to her ship. "Captain Wren," he acknowledged stiffly. "I wanted to convey personally that I will honor the Emperor's directive regarding scientific exchange." "Thank you, Admiral," Maya replied, studying the Imperial officer's face. "Though I suspect this outcome isn't what you had hoped for, I came to conquer a primitive world," Valix admitted, his voice low. "Instead, I discovered a species that challenges our fundamental understanding of power." He met her gaze directly. "Do not mistake the Emperor's decision for weakness. He sees potential value in studying your people before deciding your ultimate fate. And what do you see, Admiral? Valix was silent for a moment. I see that true power may not be defined solely by technology. Your planet's harsh conditions created something unexpected in your biology, something we, with all our advancement, failed to anticipate. Evolution finds a way, Maya said simply. Indeed, Valix nodded once. Formally. Perhaps there is wisdom in learning from this encounter, rather than simply attempting to overcome it through force. As the Admiral walked away, Maya reflected on how quickly the dynamics had shifted. The Empire had arrived expecting easy conquest and instead discovered that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or weapons, but the evolutionary adaptations born from surviving on one of the galaxy's most challenging worlds. The war had paused, not ended. The Empire would study, adapt, and eventually try again with new approaches. But humanity would be adapting too, their unique biology continuing to evolve in response to Imperial technology. For now, Earth had earned its place as equals rather than subjects, a new chapter in human history and perhaps in the Empire's understanding of power throughout the galaxy. The weapons had stopped working, but something far more significant had started, a recognition that true strength came in many forms, often from the most unexpected sources. As Maya boarded her shuttle to return to orbit, she gazed down at Earth's swirling atmosphere, the electromagnetic storms that had shaped human evolution visible from space. The same harsh conditions that had made life on Earth so challenging had ultimately become humanity's salvation. Evolution, it seemed, had a wisdom all its own.